Everybody, how you doing? Good morning. So today, what I want to show you guys and what we're going to talk about is how the community take back initiative will work, how community take back group will work, how to initiate it. And I also want you to be able to see this because this is something that you can do in your own community if you're in another state or whatever. But what I want to give you today is just the basics. Now, I will say that if you're already part of an organization and you already have the people and the infrastructure, that this plan that I'm about to tell you is a basic idea, but depending upon your organization, I have it developed for a more stable, more solidified, more structured organization that they can be able to move faster. But from the beginning standpoint, I want you to understand what the mission of this group is. And if you want to become a part of it, then just get in contact with me and we can begin this together. Because like I said before, this is not about my ego, it's not about how I feel about anything other than the fact that we need to establish something in our hands. We need to have a structure. We need to reestablish community. We need to be in a position where we have the ability to go to be in the political office, to be in the police departments, to have the business community and the finances, the economics behind us. I was speaking to a young lady last night, and what we were talking about is the fact that when you go into certain parts of Atlanta, you go into Gwinnett, you don't see this type of thing happening to the Asian community there because they are strong financially in that community. They are strong business-wise in that community. They are strong as far as the professions in that community. And you see this in other communities as well, but in the African American community, we don't have this. So the purpose of the Community Take Back Group is to create that, is to be a part of that. I'm not saying that we would do it all ourselves. This will also be a joining of others. We will form partnerships with other groups. But today, I want to give you a basic premise of what the goal is and what the mission is and how we function. And you can take this information, use it for yourself, use it for a group that you want to start, or use it for a group that you're a part of. And like I said, no ego. We don't have any problems coming alongside any church or mosque or coming alongside any other civic organization that is already established. So let's get started, because I don't want to keep you long. But the Community Take Back Group, it has two different functions. There will be a non-profit side of the house as well as a for-profit side of the house. Oftentimes, organizations like to just look at being non-profit because of tax benefits and because of the way things are set up. But it has always been my belief, and when I've coached other people, like I've met a lot of women who want to open up a women's shelter, who want to open up a women's home. But one of the things that I taught them is open up a for-profit business, let the profits from the for-profit fund your non-profit. So this is the same duality. We will have a non-profit, but there will also be a for-profit that will be created to help fund the non-profit. That way we are not caught up in needing donations, or fundraising, that sort of thing. But the fundraising is created by the fact that we have a for-profit side that feeds the nonprofit. So there isn't a lack of funds because many nonprofits need funds and there are a lack of funds. So we want to avoid that. So think about this. Imagine if your organization, your church, your civic organization had a for-profit side and the profits from there funded your nonprofit. How much more effective would you be? Not that you can't still ask for donations, you should, but how much more effective can you be if you have a for-profit side? So there is a for-profit side. In the nonprofit, the primary goal initially, just getting started, is what we will look at is business and community, and that comes down into training. The one thing that we can do that is not that doesn't cost too much, that's very cost effective, that we can begin by training. But training is important because we have to first affect the mind and the mental state of the people. And by doing that, what we need to do to establish a business community is to develop current business owners, develop new and current business owners. If you're going to a bank, you need a business plan. Certain investors will want a business plan. Others will want a business treatment. What we're going to do is what we're going to start doing is teaching business planning and business treatments, how to formulate your business, how to put it together. And that way, and if you're already in business, really, if you're in business, you really just need a business treatment. You don't need a business plan. And if you've been in business for like as long as I have, you recognize that most of the time your business doesn't follow the business plan anyway. But a business treatment which is basically a statement that says, this is how we make money, this is how we expense, these are our expenses, this is how we are going to expend the money, utilize the money, and this is how we're going to utilize our profits. So that business treatment just basically accounts for the processing of the funds coming into the business, because as any business person will tell you, nothing happens unless a sale occurs. So we must manage the sale process through the accounting process so that we go to the profit, so that we can manage the growth process. Now, we're also going to teach business management, how to manage your company, how to manage your employees, how do you manage your personal finances and dealing, and as far as being a business owner. Also in the financial area, how to acquire finances, but also how to, just like I said in a treatment, how do you move your money? How do you keep most of your money? How do you determine your price points, and how do you determine your profit margin? What do you do with your profits? When do you grow? When do you not grow? Where do you grow? Things like that. First dealing in your finances, and then it's growth. How do you grow your business? Is your business a type that can be grown all over the nation, all over the world? Or is it the type of business that you grow in a certain area, and because it's a niche business, it may only grow in that particular area? But also, growth is something that most people don't understand correctly. Stair-step growing is another form of business. I was talking to a young man yesterday, and what I was explaining to him was the fact that you may have this much, this much money. And what you do is you take that much money, and then you go start a business that you can start with that much money. It may not be your passion, it may not be the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life, but you utilize that business to grow profit, to step you to the next business, to then step you to the next business. If you wanted to design luxury planes, if that was your heart and soul, if that was the passion that you have, you're talking about something that's going to cost you millions and millions of dollars to get started. So if you have a coin laundry or a convenience store, or you have a business service, a loan company, and you use that to open up the next company, and then you use those two to open up the next three, and you continue to grow that way, then eventually you get to the point where you can fund your luxury jet company. You understand? That's a method of growth that goes ignored by most people, because we believe we got to do that one thing that we're so passionate about. But it depends upon what that thing is and how much funding you have and those sorts of things will determine whether or not you're able to do that. So step growth is one of the keys that we must look at and learn and come to an understanding. Now, in that business programming, because the nonprofit and profit will connect, we also need mentoring. Not just mentoring for the business owners are going to be the ones that also assist in mentoring young people and, anybody in career development, so that not everybody can be a business owner. Some people will have to work. Some people have to be the doctors. We have to have police officers. We have to have lawn care. We have to have city workers. We have to have people in all facets of industry. But what we want to do is be able to help people understand how to develop into other careers. What are the qualifications for being a psychologist? What are the qualifications for being a medical doctor, or a police officer, or being a politician, or being anything? We need to be able to, I know we depend on the schools to do it right now, but in our communities, we have to do it as parents. We have to do it as business owners. We have to do it as the elders in our community. We have to be able to raise kids in the framework and say, okay, you know your passion of what you want to do. Here are the guidelines. This is the fastest route to get there. This is the easiest route to get there. This is the challenges that you may have to overcome. We need to be able to lead them through that pathway. And then once they get there, we need to lead them to, in the framework of how do you attain the highest level of it, if that is their desire. If you want to just be a police officer, and I say just, but there's nothing wrong with being a police officer. If you want to be a police officer, that's fine. But if you want to be a detective, you need to do this. If you want to become the chief of police, you need to do this. So we need to be able to guide people in that. So career development, personal finances. We've been put into a debt society, so we need our business leaders, our primary people, those people can really teach about how to manage your personal finances, because if your personal finances aren't managed correctly, then your business is not going to be managed correctly. I've been a victim of that myself. Okay. Now, there are people, and me saying that reminded me, there are times Where your personal finances, when I was in the Marine Corps and I managed the budget for my units, I had to have that managed to the penny. Congress demanded that it be managed to the penny. But then when I had a business that didn't go the way I had expected it to go, my personal finances were all messed up for a while, but the finances of the Marine Corps were perfect, right? Which means that sometimes your business finances are perfect, but your personal finances take a hit. We need to be able to teach how to, if you have that situation, how do you recover? It took me 2 years to recover, but I recovered. And I'm going to teach you how I went through that process to recover. And so that'll be a continuous thing, not just how to have good credit, but how to recover, how to maintain credit as the programs change. How do you change with it? How to set yourself up for retirement, those sorts of things. Investing. Not only do business leaders need to, but we need to mentor people on investing, what they should invest in, how they should invest, what they should depend on. I mean, let's be real. If you're dependent upon Social Security and a 401k, with the fact that people are living longer, you're going to run out of money right around that 80 plus range. You're going to start running out of money. But if you live to 90, and they're predicting that many people will start living past 100, you're going to run out of your 401ks, and Social Security is not going to be enough because none of them are keeping pace with inflation. So we have to learn how to invest in investment growth programs. Invest in a small business that has shown some level of success that needs to grow. I mean, you don't have to. Everybody wants to invest in the next Facebook or invest in IBM or some of these huge companies. But sometimes the best investment, and what a lot of rich people do, is that they find a company that may only have 2 or 3 locations, but they have a good growth and they have a good profit margin, and every year they may expense $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in profit. And if you're getting 10, 15, 20, 50% of that every year, and if you have 7, 8 of those, then you have a good nest egg that is continuing to grow. So we have to learn those type of investments as well. If you've seen some of my videos, you know I've talked about that. And also we want to mentor people in the political arena. We want them to grow up and become politicians, but we also want to be able to be there and sit in the office with the politician. Not just your federal legislature, your president, but also your local council members, your local police chief, your sheriff, all the judges. We want to be able to sit with these people and not demand so much as be there as a guide, as a sounding board, be there in a partnership. But then, yes, there are those that we will have to demand. But if we're coming from a strong community and financial base, then we will have the power to do that very thing. Now, if you already have an organization set up, a lot of this stuff you can go ahead and you may already be doing, but then there are more detailed things that can be tweaked and honed in to make it even better. And then as far as the for-profit side, what I initially put up here is just the Black Wall Streets in multiple cities. You see, in order to do this, and this is not, and understand, I'm not trying to exclude white people from anything. I'm not trying to exclude Asians or anybody else from anything. Right? But just as you go to certain cities, they have like Chinatown. You go to certain parts of Atlanta, you have certain nationalities that have grouped together, certain races that have grouped together to form a bonded community. It's the same thing. We must form a bonded community just as we had in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. We have to have strong communities. I mean, I grew up in Marietta when everybody knew everybody in Marietta, where if I did something wrong on one side of town, my mom, my grandparents, my aunts, everybody found out, my uncles found out, and I was in trouble all the way across town before I got home. The police knew that I was more afraid of my grandfather than the police, and the biggest threat that they had against me was, I'm going to take you to your grandfather and tell you what you did. We had strong communities. So we got to develop strong community. A Black Wall Street is that type of community, but it also has a strength in economics. Now, in doing so, the Black Wall Street, what we have to be able to do and put these in multiple cities, let's be realistic. People are somewhat lazy. We don't want to go too far. We don't want to have too much change. So where I want to emphasize the community take back group is opening up businesses initially that are germane to Black people. that we are going to purchase anyway, to promote the beauty salons that are owned by African Americans, by black people, to promote the nail salons that are owned by African Americans, the beauty supply places that are owned. We need to take back those businesses in our communities that we are naturally going to pay for it anyway. But those people who are owning those businesses need to have that community within them. This is why we have to have mentoring for them, because they need to understand that we're going to invest in their business, then they need to invest in the community. If you're going to if you're going to receive money from the community, you need to hire from the community. This is a beautiful thing. And I talked about this often, and this is one of the things I try to get a lot of churches to do. In most churches, they will try to maintain a separation between the business community and the church. Once a year, twice a year. Now, they claim that they're doing something, but if you only once a year, twice a year, maybe even 3 times a year, have a business forum, do a shout out to all the business, encourage your parishioners to go and shop with the business owners in your church. That's only a couple of times a year. It's not very effective. If it's only said during a special program that most people that go to your church don't show up to, it's not very effective. Show me a church that only talks about receiving tithes 2 or 3 times a year. You can't. Why do you talk about tithes every Sunday or every Saturday, depending upon which branch of religion you are? Why you talk about it every Sunday, every Saturday, or every Friday? You do. You talk about it because you know you have to repeat it in order for people to do it. So what is the harm in you making sure that you tell your parishioners that these are all our business owners in our church? Not just the ones who are on the deacon board, not just the ones who are priests or imams, not just the ones who are close to the ministers or close to the leadership, but all of them. What have you told all of them? Told your parishioners every week, take 2 minutes of service time every week. Shop with our people. Circulate the money within our community. Circulate the money within our church. What if you did that? And here's the thing. If the business start making money, they hire people and then tell those people, we're going to support your businesses, but you will hire from our church. When you need to hire kids, hire our teenagers. When you need to hire adults, hire our adults. These are our unemployed. These are our employables. Cross market them. And if you do that, then your church becomes stronger financially. Now when you talk about tithes, more people got more money to pay tithes. People got more money to pay offerings. More people have more money to go out and do missionaries. So combine them, work them together by simply just acknowledging them on a consistent basis. Because once or twice a year, 1 seminar a year, 1 or 2, these are all the businesses, you bringing in all these franchises, it doesn't matter. Imagine if a church, some of our larger churches, okay, our ministers of Creflo Dollar and Eddie Long, and I don't know the minister's name out of Berean, but imagine if these pastors and fellowship and all these other, imagine if these pastors committed to that with their community, with their impact, with their influence. If they committed to ensuring that they are circulating the money within their church, and not just, and I know some people, because I spoke to a lady a couple days ago, and she got very defensive about it. My pastor does it, but when I asked her how often, she said it was only 2 or 3 times a year. So I'm not going to shout out the name of the pastor or the church, but they only did it 2 or 3 times a year. 2 or 3 times a year is not doing it. It's not doing it. That is putting a Band-Aid on it. That is just a placebo so you can say you did it for a minute. It's not real medicine. It's not real medicine. All right? So in order to create a Black Wall Street, this is why I initially took this program to the churches 5 years ago. But they didn't want to commit to talking about the businesses that are in their own church. I didn't understand it. But if we do this, if we commit to creating Black Wall Streets in multiple cities, and not just in the low-income areas that we created. You know, there's a group that's looking to create a Black Wall Street in Lithonia, Georgia. I admire what they're doing, but their location is horrible. Just be honest, it's horrible. It's in a low visibility, low traffic area of Lithonia. I understand they wanted to put it in the city center, but the city center of Lithonia is not the place where traffic goes. So you have to pick a plaza or a street where there is tremendous traffic in order to do it, where it's easy to get to, where it's easy to get to from the highway. Theirs is easy to get to from the highway, but most people don't follow that route. They make a left turn right before they get to it. So you got to place it, location, location, location. It has to be in a prominent area that people feel safe and secure to go to. And it has to have more than just, you know, vegetarian this and all natural that. You got to have things that the masses will go to. Yes, you got to have places that sell the chicken wings and fried foods. You need to have a nightlife involved, and not a scuzzy nightlife, but a nightlife involved. You need to have nicer restaurants. You need to have, like I said, the hair salons, the nail salons, the spas, the massage. We need to have the things that people are going to pay for, as well as the boutiques, okay? And then, so that people will go there without having to think about it, without having to force themselves, make it easy for people. All right? So multiple cities, Black Wall Streets, that's the initiative there. But then we also, for the for-profit, we want to create investment groups. These investment groups will grow and begin to purchase properties to create the Black Wall Streets. We'll purchase the properties, and the people that we've developed into our nonprofit organization that have went through the entire process to learn how to conduct their business, we want to be able to give them business loans from the for-profit, and of course the interest that's paid back goes back into the non-profit. You see how that works? It's very simple. So we try to overcomplicate things too much. So we create an investment group. We buy property. The profits from the leasing of these properties goes back into the non-profit. If we see that one of the businesses is struggling, having some issues, then if we are the bank, if we are the investors, we can give them a break. If you need a break for a month or 2 months because something is going on, because business is low, we can give you a break. And then if we already have the training personnel who can teach you marketing, who can work on your program, your campaign, the interior, the design, your customer service, whatever it is, then we can get back on schedule without penalizing you in your credit. You see how that works? This is one of the things that, as I study families like the Rothschilds, is what they do, right? They give themselves a loan from their own private family banks, and if they need to take a break for a minute, they can. If they don't, but now there still will have to be regulations and restrictions. You can't just abuse the system. But then we give business loans to the people who have went through this process. That way, we are acquiring land and leverage, as well as being able to build more business. That's a basic understanding of this. That's a basic. Of course, there are tons and tons of more detail, right? As far as the training and how it's developed and how it's done. But in order to do any of this, we have to take our first steps. Our first steps is first to get membership up. Okay? You gotta get people involved. Facebook is not worth $1 billion if it doesn't have, it wasn't worth the money if it didn't have millions and millions of people attached to it. Instagram would not have been purchased for billions of dollars if it didn't have hundreds of millions of people attached to it. In order for this to grow, or any organization to grow, you have to first have membership. In order to be taken seriously, we have to have membership. So there is the Community Take Back page, all right? There's a Community Take Back group Facebook page that I created. We need to get those numbers up. Like the page, join the group. I know oftentimes people will create a group and then they just go out to their friends list and they just force people into the group. I'm not gonna force anybody into the group, but join the group. The more numbers we have, the more information we have. When we decide to take when economic offenses are taken, when we say we're gonna not use this product or not use that product, when we say that we're not going to go to this business or that one, or when we say we are going to fund this business or going to go to that business, when we are going to work with the community, we need a hub of where information can be disseminated. Now, initially it's a Facebook group, but soon it will become a website. And we'll be able to do things there because we don't want to be controlled by whether or not Facebook allows us to do things or not. Right? And then as we grow, it will become more and more independent and be able to stand on its own. But we got to create the membership. Then we have to, the next step is in the app, with that membership, we have to start curbing consumerism. Consumerism has to go up in businesses that support the community and down in businesses that don't support the community. So consumerism, you have to change the mentality of that. And only by having the membership and the masses doing it is how it changes. You see, if one person is doing it, then no one follows. But if 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, and that momentum starts to grow, then more and more people begin to follow because it becomes the norm. It becomes what we do, right? And as long as it's what we do, then people will continue. That's one of the biggest things about marketing, is that if you can make enough noise with enough people and get them moving in that direction, then guess what? People just start to follow it without even thinking about it. People show up in lines to buy the new Jordans or the new LeBron sneakers because it's just in their mentality, that's just what we do. It came out, I must go do it. Doesn't matter that I live in a shack or a hovel. Doesn't matter that I'm barely making over minimum wage. The new Jordans came out, I gotta go get them. The new LeBrons came out, I have to go get them. Okay? So this is how that works. You know, consumerism, up and down. We have to change it and change the mentality of people. The next part is the influencers. Now this is a little weird. I know you see all the little lines. But the little lines are, we have to get, as we get membership and consumerism, we can then begin to influence other people and influence organizations, influence companies, influence political people, the politics. But also, there's a lateral move of influence. Okay? And this is something that I spoke about yesterday, I believe. Yesterday. If we got the people, and we have the power of consumerism, and right now we have the people. Well, we don't have the people as far as this group, but as a whole, we are the people. We have the power of consumerism. Laterally, we can force the hand of somebody else who has the influence over the political spectrum. I gave the example of Hennessy yesterday. Hennessy is purchased by, over 50% of all purchases of Hennessy comes from the African American community. Right? Not the whole black world, just African Americans, just the ones in America. Not Africa, not other countries, not Australia, not Europe, just the ones in America. Over 50%. Now, if we decided, Hennessy, you are going to support our endeavors, or we're going to stop purchasing from you, then we can use their influence. That's what lateral influence, that's what I mean by lateral influence, that we affect them by telling them we will not spend from them. This is not new. This is what was done with the Montgomery bus boycotts. This is what Martin did. This is what Malcolm did. This is what was done, and this is also what actually struck fear in the political establishment at that time frame and created the change. As long as they were marching and doing vigils, but weren't withholding economics, nothing happened. You see, all those other years, nothing happened as long as they kept shopping and buying and purchasing. But as soon as you stop purchasing, it changes. About a week ago, I was watching the Jackie Robinson movie. And one of the parts of the movie that stuck out to me is that when they pulled up into some gas station, Jackie Robinson wanted to use the restroom. And the guy was telling him that he couldn't use the white-only restroom. And he said, well, I tell you what, we'll go get our 92 gallons of gas somewhere else. And the guy let him use the restroom. Okay? Got to understand that mentality. The government, whomever, can be against you as much as they like, but as soon as you start affecting that wallet, their influence, they change, they stop. They may not change in their mind, they may not change in their heart, but they will change in their actions because their pocket is more important than whatever their heart is saying and what their mind is saying. All right, so we can use lateral influence in that format, but you know that. And then the next step is organization. Community Take Back Group is not organized yet. This is what the purpose of today's meeting is, to begin that process of organization. Getting into organizing the nonprofit, organizing the for-profit, organizing when, how, and what classes are going to start being taught, and how we're going to, the talents of the people who are going to be involved, how we can get ourselves into a structure. So that was that purpose. So we'll get into a structure very quickly. And like I said before, even if it's only me, we will get into a structure very quickly. And then as it grows, people can walk in and it's already a built-in structure. And then partnerships, the different banks, the different businesses. If you're already in business, then I want to partner with you. We want to partner with you. If you're already in business, let's partner together. If you're looking into beginning a business, let's partner together. Okay? As you grow in your business, we will continue to partner. We will continue to partner and continue to build. And as we grow, and especially in the membership, because that's what people pay attention to, because if we had 1 million people who were members of this page, of this group, if we had, let me not say 1 million, let's make it easier. If 10,000 people, just in the Atlanta area, were members just on a Facebook page of Community Take Back Group. If we went to a bank and said, hey, I need you to give all our members this deal, they're going to give it to you. If we went to a business or a store or a political and say, hey, this is what we need, this is our membership, they're going to listen, okay? There is strength in numbers. So those partnerships are important because as we grow the membership, the partnerships will be more apt to do what we want to do, what we need from them. And it's not just getting deals from people. You know, that's when I say, okay, we need you to do this. What I mean is you go to a bank, and I understand that you have systems and you have, but you can override some of those systems because some people don't have bank accounts, right? So their money is dealt in cash. So they're going to check cash in places and giving away, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10% of their income just to get their check cash. It's not good. You know, we don't need that kind of thing. We need them to be able to get bank accounts. We need people to get services. And then at the end, none of this matters. None of it without execution. None of it. You know, I was a member of one organization that wanted to do my program to a certain extent, the business part of the program. But then once we got started, some of the people came on board. I'm trying to put this. Some of the people came on board that had different ideas. They didn't want to do the full. They didn't do it to the full of what this community take back program was about. So when we did it, it was a shell of the program. All right, I stayed with it for a year, but after a year I couldn't do it because the promise that was made to me is that we'll start here and then grow into your full program. But there was no growth whatsoever. The execution of that growth was not there. So I had to stop being part of the program because basically, if this is how you want to do it, that's your prerogative, and that's fine. But in this community take back program, full execution. And as we grow, you guys will be able to see exactly how we're able to affect the community. Now, I'm not an idiot. I need your help, plain and simple. I need as much help as I can possibly get. I can't do this all by myself, not to the full burden. It's going to take people and time, all right? And I say the next 20 to 40 years because in order for a true change to happen in a community, you have to have 1 to 2 generations of that process being in place. In the same way that if you want a lie to become truth, then you have to tell that lie for 1 to 2 generations, and then everybody accepts that lie as truth, right? So in order for us to change the landscape, in order to balance out the power, and that's another thing, I'm not trying to say that black people need to be the oppressors or the lords or the rulers over white people or Asian people or any person. What I'm saying is that if we're all coming to the table as equals, then we all walk away from the table as equal, okay? That's all I'm saying. We all come in, but we got to get up to the level and get that respect so that we come to the table as equals. Right? And that's the point, and that's the process. And then, so, like I said, I look forward to working with other people. I look forward to working with other groups. And just as an extra, at this moment, I put a post out earlier today, and I said that basically Martin and Malcolm put aside their differences of their religion in order for them to work together for a common goal. And that common goal is for the upliftment and safety and bringing black people to an equal standing within this country. All right? And that's what we need to do. We don't have to agree on everything. But what we can agree on is that there is a need in the community. There is a financial, business, economic need in the community. And that is all that I'm talking about in this, is an economic development need in the community that needs to be implemented. And there are other groups who are already working towards that, and I look forward to coming alongside them as well. So y'all have a great day. Your greatness is non-negotiable, and so is mine.